First of all, I want to say that during that speech of Volodymyr Zelensky in September 2021, he actually mentioned 3 years from now about the reforming which necessarily need to be made under the United Nations. To make it more clear, to make it more powerful in terms of global world diplomacy, in terms of course, the political security. And right now it was the number one topics in terms of Minister of Foreign Affairs meeting of Brazil. We want to say that it was pretty exclusive of the upcoming event when Lula and his Minister of Foreign Affairs put its number one topics during the geopolitical negotiations on the first day of the G20 meeting of 24th of February. Of course, more countries accept this idea and was totally agreed with this. Right now, it needs to be the political step-by-step what need to be done. But if we're talking about Zelensky, he said about the United Nations, it's like retired superhero. It's officially mentioned in 2021. Of course, in terms of retirement, it's more than 70 years, which United Nations was established. We can say it's the most powerful organizations in the world, 193 countries. It's in the United Nations and make it all of the decisions. All of these countries make the big decisions. But right now, we need to follow what we'll be doing the next. We need to follow statements which will be given by Antonio Guterres. And from this reason, we will better understand if it will be in progressive and prospective area on the future. It can be some sort of a change or not.
The UK's David Cameron was present at the G20, where he called out Putin and put pressure on Russia. Do you think he went far enough, and how was this received?
To Rio de Janeiro, David Cameron made a statement, to support, as he all the time made it before, to support Ukraine and the war against Russia. It was pretty, we understand, we will follow in the one of the biggest allies of the United Kingdom, to Ukraine. And in his statements, which was given during G20 Minister of Foreign Affairs, it was something that was most important for us, because we know this aggression was, he said it against this aggression together with Tony Blinken. And we will say it was more than pretty, more than enough, to show this perspective, to show the current BRICS countries, because I would try, to say it again, we are living in the era when it's Troika countries in G20, it's BRICS countries. The last year presidency of India, the current one is Brazil, it's coming next year, it's South Africa. All of these countries, together united in BRICS. It's some sort of, not some democratic, the values, politics, which made it by the last year of these countries. But anyway, we need to trying to work with them. But I'm positively thinking about the upcoming summit in November this year. I'm sort of more than sure it will be the biggest chance to get invited Ukraine as an invited guest to a summit in November rather than last year in India, because we totally understand what was made by the Indian presidency, how they sort communication in the economic level with Russia. But Ukrainian president made it one of the biggest, in my opinion, meeting in Lula da Silva during United Nations Climate Change Week and high-level weeks in New York last year. They showed that he's not totally disagree with some sort of support of Ukraine. He's actually made it happen. He make it some proposals, to put on the table the world leaders. But anyway, we need to follow how will be the agenda change on the upcoming weeks, because in Sao Paulo, for example, next week, it will be the Minister of Finance meeting. And also the Sherpa G20 will publish in their agenda for the next topics which will be discussed. But in any case, since the 1st of December, when Brazil started to be the presidency in G20, it was the biggest event. Of course, it wasn't enough Ukrainian representatives, in any case, even journalists and experts in the G20 meeting, because as I saw with Russia, it was like a tool of journalists, the huge team, the delegation, who came by playing with Minister Lavrov. But we need to follow the more topics, what will be changing. And also don't forget it about the G20. It's like 310 of G20 right now. How some sort of experts will be involved, on level of resources and level of the professors, to talk on this scientific level, scientist level, what will be the next. In my opinion, it was pretty good. It wasn't really some declarations regarding the war in Ukraine, but it's some sort of the agenda which Ukrainian case was negotiated. It's a positive step for the upcoming summit in Brazil, in Rio de Janeiro, in November this year.
Russia's Foreign Secretary Sergei Lavrov was also present at the event, and he dismissed accusations that Alexei Navalny was killed. What is your reaction to that?
If we're talking about the story which happened with Navalny, is that I remember I saw what was, because I was in Munich Security Conference at this time, and I saw, on person out these the lady, the Navalny, they gave it, they make a statement regarding this story, regarding the upset story which was happened with the leader of Russian opposition. And we know there, even Putin, who called Navalny этот человек, like this civilian, this guy, he's all the time, he's never mentioned his surname. It's a sort of Minister of Foreign Affairs Russia. They try, to use this narrative as well. We remember the official statement during in June 2021, during the first bilateral meeting between Putin and Biden, which was in Villa Lagrange in Geneva, Switzerland. And he said if something, happened with Navalny, it will be the big mess, a big problem for Russia. We will see next, which will be made this statement or some, the steps by the American government, by the Department of State regarding this death. But in any case, we can see maybe right now the new leader of opposition of Russia. Someone tried to mention it can be the Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, something like that, which was happening in August 2019 after the elections in Belarus, when someone not recognized the legitimate leader Alexander Lukashenko and someone recognized Svetlana Tikhanovskaya as a democratic leader of Belarus. And maybe it's in case it's quite maybe will be the similar. But, I wasn't, some sort of, it was something for them. They never mentioned it, this situation, they never mentioned it, Navalny, even surname. It's something like shows all of the era of Russian diplomacy. If we can talk about the NATO with open doors policy, Russia shows an open window policy. When someone commits suicide or tries to stay, this sort of open window diplomacy right now, it's a real mirror, it's a real geopolitical perspective of some sort of the Russian politicians. Maybe we will see something, from Russian side before the presidential election, which will be held in next month on 17th of March. I'm really not, I'm not waiting for something positive from their side. As we do understand the leaders of their opposition right now, it's killed, and we understand, and we do in Ukraine do understand. We will not see the new party leaders in opposition. I'm trying, to discuss before with Garry Kasparov, with the Grossmeister, the chess player, who's like right now the lead some sort of the opposition of Russia outside in exile, but he's doing very good in making statements. But we need to follow exactly what will be the next, how this some sort of his political party of Navalny will be maybe reformed, or maybe something new will gonna happen in next upcoming months.
Today, we've seen footage of Abrams tanks being used on the front lines, and F-16 fighter jets expected to be delivered this summer. Yesterday, the UK also pledged more support to Ukraine. How important is this, and does it go far enough?
Thanks for any support which receives the full invasion which the UK give to Ukraine. We so appreciate for that. We use this weapon, we use this humanitarian aid, to help the civilians. We use the weapon, which was important for Ukrainian army, and I hope so. We're doing pretty well in terms of these last 2 years. We do understand some challenges which is right now going on in the military in support in USA, because we do understand what is going on in internal policy. But I was one of the biggest allies UK. We're doing a pretty good job, and we all the time follow all the statements by Dvid Cameron, by Rishi Sunak, and we have a lot of bilateral meetings regarding this. And in my opinion, from the geopolitical perspective, it's one of the biggest, allies, one of the biggest corporations since the last 2 years, and I really appreciate it. It's some sort of not enough, but in any case, we're doing to make it bigger, to spread and to make it happen with more and more. And we understand even after the Munich Security Conference, after some sort of visit of Ukrainian President Zelensky, it make it bigger, it make it happen, really that shit for us.
You mentioned that the G20 Summit takes place in Brazil in November. What do you expect from that summit?
We need to understand which kind of even draft agenda will be negotiated the upcoming, because if we see that just one high-level meetings just happened, it was Minister of Foreign Affairs. A lot of ministers, from every area will be coming and to talk in G20 summits this year. But in my opinion, it will be the biggest some sort of positive thinking for Ukraine. We can get invitation to be invited countries. Right now, we see that G20 is reformed. After G20 Summit in Delhi, in India, the permanent member of G20 right now is African Union. We understand this Portugal, Angola, and the most countries already invited as an invited countries this year. More organizations already made the negotiations in the G20. We need to follow step by step what is going on regarding in this biggest organizations. And don't forget it, in this year as well, the G7 Summit is under Italian presidency. And from this kind of perspective, I optimistic positively, because Giorgia Meloni did a lot of a big job together with Fratelli Italia, the political party in Italy, to support Ukraine. And this summit will be coming earlier in the May of this year. We do understand how G7 countries was united for security guarantees for Ukraine. It was officially made remarks in the summit of NATO in Vilnius, which we already talked with you last year in Lithuania. And I'm positively thinking about this summit on the upcoming future. I mean, the NATO summit in Washington, first it will be G7, but if we will get officially, if we will do enough cooperations and talk on the level of Ukrainian embassy, of presidential office, of Minister of Foreign Affairs, if in Brazil, we thought that we need to get this invitation to be officially and presented the Ukrainian view. It's actually made it happen to 2022 when Joko Widodo came to Ukraine with official visit and officially invited as the head of G20, as the president of Indonesia invited Ukrainian president. It can be happened in any minute. We will wait for this. And as I say, I'm more optimistic in this year rather than last year, when India was a presidency in a G20 conference. Right now, from step by step, Russia lose is like the originally allies. For example, I just sort of Armenia, which was happened after Munich Security Conference, and what is going right now with the Armenian, the Russian bilateral relations. Ukraine in this case doing pretty good job. Armenia is not right now the ally of Putin or ally of the Russia. we can say them some sort of way of democracy by a statement which was given by Pashinyan, the prime minister, or right now, or for example, the president of Khachaturian of Armenia. From this sort, we will see from step by step, Russia try to lose his supporters by the country which was by decades and era was strongly enough allies of Russia. And we will see right now it was happened with Brazil as well. All the time the Russian media make a propaganda. Lula will never met with Zelensky, but it happened in the United Nations. But and right now we will see what is going on in sort of cooperation with other countries. We will see some cases will be developing soon, and some sort more allies will be involved, for example, of peace formula. For example, after the meeting with Lula da Silva, the Brazilian official representatives also was invited and officially participated of the negotiations of the peace under peace formula. It's not coming weeks, maybe months, it will be a peace formula summit when the world leader will be talk about the positively some sort of negotiation between the countries. But we will see some positive allies of Russia. They try to be more with democracy rather than being autocracy, which Russia manipulated and put forward. And if the propaganda is working, we understand more and more. It's many newspapers already published this in this week, like New York Times, Washington Post, and anyway, we're still fighting with freedom. Tomorrow it's 24th. It's the second year of the full invasion. It wasn't for imagination of Putin 3 weeks when Ukraine has fall on the war, but and we understand this. If Russia will stop, the war is finished. If Ukraine will stop, it's Ukraine finished. And we doing this job and doing pretty good.